Hey everyone, what's up? This is Uri for Guerrilla Poker. In this video I'm going to keep going covering the boss hands Llinuslove and Stefan, but also as an experiment I'm going to throw in a short live clip, a lower stakes game that we can quickly go through to see maybe a common mistake and a little tool you can add to your games. So yeah, first part of the video is going to be a bit different pace than usual, but hope you guys enjoy it, and I'm sure everyone can learn at least a little something there. Okay, so this hand is from Funky Punts. I just get sent these hands to cover, so I don't know Funky Punts personally, but let's get rolling with the video.
Poker Pocket Kings. There's a raise to 20 and 2 callers, and we're in the big blind. We're going to bump it up to $85. Our goal with this raise is to isolate and go heads up with one player, and the button does call. His range is going to be very capped.
Okay, so just going to analyze everything quickly. So Hero's saying there's a raise to 20 and 2 callers. He's in the big blind. He squeezes to 85. Now, 85 is an okay raise size versus one guy. With the 2 callers in between, there's a lot more money that you're attacking. Everyone gets better pot odds, and this raise is actually way too small. And what this means is that everyone can call you with suited aces, suited connectors, pocket pairs, etc. very, very comfortably and make money making those calls. So really, for every additional caller, you want to bump up your squeeze size by a big blind or 2. I think that's all there is to be said about preflop, obviously squeezing kings.
Flop comes 10-9-3 rainbow. This is a perfect board for us to go for value, and we're going to go pretty small on this, so we're going to go for $60, and it's cheap enough for the button to call.
Now, just in terms of how you analyze this situation, 10-9-3 is an okay board for kings, but given you squeezed and someone overcalled from the button, then overcalled the squeeze, potential hands that beat you are going to be 3s, 9s, 10s, and 10-9 suited. And there are also going to be hands like 7-8 suited and Queen-Jack suited, King-Jack suited, King-Queen suited in a range. So it's very important to keep this image in your mind as the hand develops. Of course, with such a small bet, you'd also get called by any 9 and 10, so 9-8 suited, Jack-10 suited, Ace-10 suited, Ace-9 suited. Again, I'm going for kind of a tight range in terms of pre-flop unless you have reads, because of the fact that the guy overcalled the button and then called the squeeze, so I'm not giving him Ace-9 offsuit, even though some guys will have that. But you really want an image in your head of the hands that the guy might have at any point in a hand.
All we're asking for is a clean river, and it comes the Ace of Diamonds.
Now, Ace of Diamonds on the turn, keep in mind after such a small flop bet, a hand like Ace, Queen, Ace, Jack would also probably call some of the time.
It might seem scary to you guys, but this is a perfect card for our range, so we're going to barrel here, and we're going to go big, so we're going to go around $145. I wish I caught this in person, but look how fast the button decides to call. That is a clear sign of an ace.
So here Hero decides to continue betting on the ace with pocket kings, stating it's a really good card for his range, which is a reasonable decision. I don't think the ace is as good as it seems, given pre-flop. Like, draws are still draws, you still lose to 3s, 10s, 9s, 10-9. Ace-9 and Ace-10 now beat you, Ace-Queen and Ace-Jack now beat you. It's true that you might be c-betting Ace-King, Ace-Queen yourself, so ace tends to be slightly better for the 3-better. And an aggressive card, but it's not like the other guy can never have an ace or something like that, so important to keep in mind. But yeah, betting kings here, my thought would be, I still get called by Queen, Jack, and 7-8. I probably get folds from King, Jack, King, Queen, and maybe I get some curious calls from Jack 10, Queen 10, King 10, especially with diamonds.
When the Jack comes in the river, this is a perfect card for us to just check and move forward and go to showdown.
Now, Jack on the river, of course, kings is no longer good enough to bet unless you are considering bluffing with it, which seems a bit overboard, so check.
Because our hand's very strong, but the button does decide to lead for $220. We tank for a very long time because his range is so capped, and we do put in the call.
Okay, so Hero says we think for a very long time because his range is so capped, and we do put in the call. So, first of all, the range is not capped. It was capped pre-flop, but once the flop hit, everything is in there. On the jack, there's Jack 10, Ace Jack, King Queen of Diamonds, 7-8 got there. This is not a capped range, but by any means, and the run out was actually not very good for hero. Now, given villain bet 1/3 pot, you have to ask yourselves, which hands could he potentially be bluffing with? And as long as we're keeping track of what's going on throughout the hand and we realize that 7-8 actually got there on the river and King Queen of Diamonds got there and Queen Jack, King Jack made a pair, it feels like in order for villain to bluff, he would have to take something like Queen 10 of Diamonds or Queen Jack and actually bet with it as a bluff. And I feel like betting those hands as a bluff is first of all not going to be common. Second, it's not going to be a fast bet. And third, it's not going to be such a small bet. Usually when you turn a pair into a bluff, you try to bet big because you're trying to make your opponent fold a hand like an ace. Or a jack maybe, but not bet 1/3 pot. So I think this should be a fairly easy fold for hero just because of the run out, where it's so hard to find bluffs. And were river not a jack, but say deuce 3, 4, 5, or 9, 10, ace, then all the busted straight draws are still there, the busted flush draws are still there, and then calling would be a lot more reasonable.
Which I think is a punt, and he has ace queen offsuit. For more, join my club GG, link in bio.
Okay, thank you for 2 funky punts for this hand. Hope you guys enjoyed the short analysis. Again, as long as you can kind of ballpark keep track of the range of your opponent in your head, a lot of decisions in poker get a lot easier. And, maybe this shows you a little bit the difference. I know some guys watch Stefan and Llinus hands and say, this could be played at 2-0. Here you can kind of see a hand where there is probably a misplay that these guys would not have made. You wouldn't have seen the 3rd pot river sizing in the first place. And in terms of their thought process, it wouldn't be, my opponent is capped and all these things, but more putting him on a range. And Stefan and Llinus specifically are guys who would have turned a 10 or a jack into a bluff. So against those guys, calling kings is more reasonable. But against some random guy you don't know who's not top 50 in the world, there's a common tendency to just show down pairs. And so I think the call there is not going to be making you a lot of money. Okay, so back to the 2 bosses. We have a hand at 5100. Stefan raises 2.5x. Llinus 3 bets to roughly 5x his size. This should be your standard go-to size, like I said. And Stefan calls. King 9-5 two-tone. Llinus bets roughly 1/3 pot, indicating a very, very wide bet. So pocket 8s can be in there, pocket 10s, jacks, queens, all these hands. Ace, queen, basically most of your hands get to bet when you take this size. Stefan calls, turn deuce of diamonds. Deuce of diamonds, very neutral card. Now, it's important to mention because when we think of the dynamics of each street, something like a 6 of clubs or an 8 of clubs would be very good for Stefan. Something like ace of diamonds would be very good for Llinus, probably. And then there are more neutral cards. Neutral cards, I would say, favor Llinus over Stefan, because Stefan doesn't improve, so Llinus can keep barreling aces, ace, king, king, queen. But Llinus does have to slow down and kind of protect his range and can't barrel away with everything. So Llinus checks, Stefan stabs for 1/3 pot. 1/3 pot stab size, indicating that, again, he's going kind of wide. So this is not only a king, presumably a bunch of hands with a 9, and maybe even lower pocket pairs sometimes, where the idea is you get some protection, some thin value, and you stop Llinus from applying pressure on the river. So Stefan bets, and Llinus counters with a check raise. Now this is an important tool in your arsenal. If you never check raise these spots, then Stefan can kind of bet all his 9s, bet all his ace queens, bet all his 5x or 6s or whatever, and then just check down the river whenever he wants and control the pot size perfectly. So to counter his ability to do that, Llinus throws in a raise, where this range, in terms of value hands, is something that should be ahead of Stefan's 3rd pot stab range. right? Because you're trying to punish that range, that means you need to put in money with a stronger hand. So presumably a good king or better. That's usually the hand strength you go with here. Okay, river 7 of diamonds, Llinus shoves for roughly half pot. Important that it is half pot because, that determines how wide you can go. If this were 2x pot, maybe you need ace king. When it's half pot, you can definitely go wider. Stefan makes the call and we see a showdown. Llinus with the king 6 of diamonds and Stefan with the king queen of clubs. Now, from Stefan's point of view, I think there is absolutely nothing interesting in this hand other than maybe his stab sizing choice, but you're never folding this hand here. Clearly, you just flopped the jackpot and nothing bad happened. Llinus, on the other hand, is a bit surprising to me. I would have expected Llinus to check raise turn with a more polarized range, so stronger hands than king 6 in terms of the threshold for going for it. Now, I do think king 6 is good enough to put in stacks on this run out. I think you do okay. So once you reach the river with king 6, I would probably shove. But personally, the way I would have constructed my range to check raise turn is I would have done it with higher kicker kings and just check call king 6. I'm not actually sure that's correct. Llinus tends to be more accurate in these spots than me. So I will run a very, very quick check for you guys just to let you know what's going on. Okay, so without getting too into the weeds about the solver, we can say that Stefan probably stabbed the incorrect size. And Llinus, as I would have guessed, you can see this green color. This indicates the king 6 and king 7 after checking turn, check call. While to check raise, you go more king jack, king queen, pocket aces in terms of value hands. And after check raising and getting called, if you get the 7 of diamonds, shoving king 6 also looks like it would be a bit overboard, but very, very close. So, what happened in this hand in terms of how Llinus played? Did Llinus misunderstand the situation? I would say personally, definitely not. This is a very straightforward structure of, you check raise with your good kicker kings. I'm sure Llinus knows this is the structure of the spot. So again, what you guys are seeing is kind of an adjustment war between these two end bosses where, Stefan stabbed too small, indicating maybe he's going wide and for protection. And when he does that, Llinus is going like, well, you know what? I think your range here is not going to be balanced. I don't think it's going to be protected. So I'm going to lower my value threshold and I'm just going to go for it with the king 6 to take advantage of your perceived weakness. Now, is this what actually happened in the hand? Can you tell by the results, was Llinus correct or incorrect? No, you can't. Maybe the range was too weak, but included, the king, queen of clubs, king, jack of clubs, super monsters still. So Llinus's adjustment might very well have been correct. But certainly it's an adjustment here to what he perceives from the size. So this is a really cool thing in poker where you guys just see the bet sizes and the raises going in and might think, wow, these guys are just jamming it in with their top pairs like crazy donks. But each bet size, given the board and the situation and the run out, actually conveys a lot of information and is causing these guys to shift their strategies around GTO. So not right on point, but you're trying to catch your opponent make a mistake and take advantage of it, which is something that, as we're seeing more and more, Llinus does do, and he's probably fairly good at it. Although maybe he is meeting his match in Stefan, still too soon to tell, but Stefan definitely getting the better of Llinus in some of these adjustment spots so far. Last hand between Stefan and Nacho. This one is BVB 130 deep. Stefan raises to 300, Nacho 3-bets to 900, and Stefan makes the call. We get a 9-6-4 two-tone board. Actually fairly good board for the big blind BVB. Stefan checks and Nacho decides to check back. So he's playing some kind of polarized c-betting range, and that means that probably the size he bets, were he to bet, would be bigger than 1/3 pot. turn ace of spades. Ace of spades, ace is always a special card when it goes check-check. Nacho in this situation probably checks back a decent amount of ace, king, ace, queen that he 3-bet with. And now he hits those. So Stefan, to continue putting in money, has to have a really, really strong hand. And he acknowledges this by leading out for an overbet. Now, a lot of guys would check everything, letting the other guy bet the ace, but really it's supposed to be a mix where you check a lot of your strong hands, but you still bet some of them. You don't check all of them. So Stefan overbets, indicating, he's probably, I don't know the limit, like can you do this with ace 10, but personally I would think this might even be something like ace queen plus or 2-pair plus to make this kind of bet. Not sure where the threshold lies exactly. So Stefan goes for it, very polarized range, millions of bluffs to choose from, so easy to overdo it. Nacho makes the call. River 4 of diamonds, so if Stefan were bluffing with a 4, which believe it or not is certainly a thing, he now has trips. If Nacho somehow has 4-5 of clubs, he also has trips. But overall not changing much, all the draws missed. Stefan has to control his frequencies really, really well to not be over bluffing. He shoves the rest in, which is the correct size to go with. Nacho makes the call and we see a showdown, with Stefan showing 10-8 of hearts and Nacho showing ace-queen with a queen of spades. So again, if you analyze their play, Nacho's play feels kind of straightforward. Checking back is fine, you're never folding turn with ace-queen, and on the river, like I said, I haven't checked, but I feel like ace-queen might be around the threshold where you're just forced to call, where, maybe Stefan has ace-queen, so you're not really folding. I could be wrong about that, which would make it more of a mixed decision, but certainly fine to call with. Stefan, on the other hand, I think the interesting thing here is the specific bluff choice. So, Stefan's going to have a million draws to choose from, and he has to choose which to give up with and which not to give up with on the river. Now, you can do this by randomizing, you can do this by reads, or you can do this kind of technically a bit by suits, where, here you generally want to give up spades and clubs because maybe Nacho has spades and clubs, right? And you would rather give up 7-8 because maybe Nacho has 7-8. Right? Because an open-ender can call the turn. So actually this choice to bluff with a missed gut shot with hearts, so no spades, no clubs, no open-ender, is actually a fairly good choice in terms of blockers, which is certainly an effect. And I would say this is probably a fairly technically accurate river choice. Whether it's too loose for the turn or not, tough for me to say. It definitely might be. But yeah, kind of standard hand, nothing special going on, but probably fairly on point by both players. Okay, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any YouTube clips or anything you want me to review to add into the boss session, so we have kind of the counterpoint of very high level play and more people climbing up the stakes, so different types of mistakes and different types of analysis, let me know and I'm happy to add it in. Until next time, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.